Hi everybody, Data Bard here. Ever find yourself working with an Azure SQL Managed Instance and wanting to take one of the databases and create a development copy, perhaps on your local database or somewhere else? In this video, I'll show you a quick way to take an Azure SQL Managed Instance database, create a backup, and restore it to another location. Now before we get started, a couple of prerequisites. First, you'll need some level of admin access into your database environment to get the backup. Secondly, you'll need an Azure storage account with a container available that can store the backup file you'll be creating. Finally, you'll need the ability to create shared access signatures that will give you access into your container to pull out the database backup and restore it to your target environment. If you have all of those prerequisites, you're ready to go, and let's jump into the demo. This demo video will be quick, so feel free to pause at any point in time, but one note before we get into it. While I'm showing this as an Azure SQL Managed Instance, you can use this with SQL Server on-prem and with SQL Server in an infrastructure as a service implementation. The only place this scenario does not work is if you're working with Azure SQL DB, which requires the use of BAK files instead. If that fits your situation, check out my other video where I cover the process of backup and restore using a BAK file. So here I am in my managed instance. I'm going to right click on my database, go to tasks, and select backup. This brings up the UI to define my backup. My only option at the moment is full, which is fine for this use case, and it's asking me for a URL, which is where it's looking for that storage account. So I'm going to create a new connection to my container to put that backup. I've already logged in previously, so all I have to do is select my storage account and my blob container, and then define the ability to create that shared access signature, which again is needed to access the container and create the BAK file. With all those settings in place, I'll double check the other screens, but for setting up a dev environment, not a whole lot we need to change here. Those are more for other use cases. So I'll double check my settings one last time and hit OK. The database I'm backing up here is fairly small, so it only takes a couple of seconds to run the process and complete successfully. How do I know for sure that it's completed successfully? I can go into my storage account, take a look at the specific container, and see that the database BAK file was created successfully. With a BAK file available, let's restore it. I'm going to go into a managed instance to do this time, right-clicking on the databases folder and choosing Restore Database. It's going to look for a device. This is where it's looking for the place where that .BAK file will exist. In this case, URL is our only option, so again, it's looking for that Azure storage account with a container in place. So we're going to create that connection. I'm already signed in, so I can choose my storage account, my blob container, and again, we're going to have to create a shared access signature and generate that in order for us to get access into the container and access the BAK file. Setting that all up, hitting OK a couple of times, and that gives us a new window to take a look in the container and find the file we're looking for. Be careful here, it will show .BAK and .BAK files in this UI. You can only use .BAK, the BAK files will not work in this UI. I choose the file, and then between that and my database environment setup, most of this information is provided by default, so I hit OK, and there starts my restoration process. Time turns, the database restoration completed successfully. But how do I prove it? Easiest way, let's open up our database, check a particular table, and let's make sure we have both structure and data. If we have both, the database restoration is successful and we can get to work. And there you have it, a quick guide to taking an Azure SQL Managed Instance, creating a backup of it, and then restoring it to, in this case, another managed instance, but it could have been to an on-prem server or to my laptop or to an IaaS solution supporting SQL Server. All of these cases work. There is some nuance to this, and I'm overlooking it on purpose because this is a beginner's guide to get you up and running quickly. If you'd like to know more, about the considerations when planning this out for something other than building a dev environment, look in the description of this video for documentation that will explain further. For now, I'm DataBard, and I'll see you in the next chapter.